Hello there, and welcome to Star Wars 1000. Today we will be talking about the Skywalkers and the legacy they left behind. I'll be talking about both canon and legends when talking about the Skywalkers. So to begin, I'll touch upon the canon side of their legacy. So Shmi Skywalker was the oldest known Skywalker ancestor. Shmi Skywalker was captured by pirates and forced into slavery when she was just a young girl. She lived a difficult life as a slave and was taken from star system to star system. Shmi eventually ended up on Tatooine as a slave. Shmi then became pregnant without a father and gave birth to her son, Anakin Skywalker. Shmi and Anakin had a tough time being slaves on Tatooine. Anakin then left Shmi when he was 9 years old to go join the Jedi Order. After Anakin left Shmi, Shmi eventually got sold to Cliegg Lars, who she ended up falling in love with and marrying. Unfortunately, Shmi ended up being captured by a group of Tuskens and tortured. Her son Anakin eventually found her, but she died in her son's arms due to the injuries from the Tusken Raiders. Her son Anakin ended up killing all of the Tuskens as an act of revenge for the death of his mother. Her son, Anakin Skywalker, would go on to become a great Jedi Knight and fought in the Clone Wars. Anakin also took on a wife named Padme Amidala, who was the Queen of Naboo, but then became a senator. Anakin then fell to the dark side and became known as Darth Vader. As Vader, Anakin brought an end to the Jedi and helped create the Galactic Empire. Vader would go on to do horrible things and became one of the most powerful Sith Lords to ever live. Vader eventually found out he had a son named Luke. Vader would go on to fight Luke, trying to turn him to the dark side so he could be at his side to try to take down the Emperor, but Luke would never turn. Instead, Luke would be the one to bring Anakin back to the light, and Anakin brought balance to the Force when he killed his master thanks to Luke. Anakin ended his journey saving the galaxy and becoming one with the Force. While Anakin brought an end to the Jedi, his son Luke brought the Jedi back. Luke grew up on Tatooine and was supposed to be hidden from the Empire due to being the son of Darth Vader. Luke ended up joining the fight against the Empire and then had to face the truth that his father was Darth Vader. Luke then tried to turn his father back to the light side and succeeded. In doing so, Luke helped save the galaxy and became the galaxy's greatest hero ever. Luke's heroic acts would make him legendary across the galaxy. Villains would be in fear if they come across Luke or if they hear the name Luke Skywalker. Luke would go on to rebuild the Jedi Order and try to start the next generation of Jedi. Luke then trained his nephew Ben Solo, who unfortunately fell to the dark side, and Ben ended up destroying Luke's new Jedi Order. The loss of his nephew haunted Skywalker for the rest of his life. The destruction of his temple and the deaths of all of his students convinced Luke that the time had come for the Jedi to end. Luke proceeded to go into exile and he cut himself off from the Force. After many years of being in exile, he was eventually convinced to help the Resistance and help put a stop to the First Order. Luke ended up sacrificing himself for the galaxy as the Resistance made their escape. Luke ended his journey by becoming a Force Ghost, and he continues to guide a new generation of Jedi as a Force Ghost. Luke also had a twin sister named Leia Organa. Leia was kept separated from her twin brother so the Empire would not be able to find them. Leia eventually joined the rebellion and helped take down the Empire. She also fell in love with Han Solo and eventually married him, and the two had a child. Leia did at some point start to begin to train as a Jedi, but she decided to stop her training before taking on the duties of becoming a full-blown Jedi Knight because she sensed that it would not end well. She felt that Ben Solo would die if she continued her Jedi training. To try and prevent this from happening, Leia laid down her lightsaber and gave up her training. Leia went on to become the first senator of the New Republic. She took part in many Senate meetings, but word got out that Darth Vader was her father and she became hated across the galaxy. Leia's son Ben Solo was training with Luke and turned to the dark side, and Leia and Han ended up splitting up because of all the drama with Ben, and they were just not getting along anymore. When the First Order arose, Leia created a military group called the Resistance. Leia commanded the assault on Starkiller Base, and the Resistance destroyed the superweapon, but Leia lost her husband, Han Solo. 1 year later, Leia would die by trying to reach out to her son through the Force, which took up a lot of her energy, and it ended up killing her. Leia would become a Force Ghost like her brother and father. Ben Solo was the son of Han and Leia. Ben Solo joined Luke's Jedi Order and became the apprentice of Luke. Unfortunately, Ben Solo was seduced by the dark side of the Force, and he renamed himself Kylo Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren, champion of the First Order, and apprentice to Supreme Leader Snoke. Driven to destroy the past, Kylo killed his father and his master, and killed Snoke as well, and took the role as Supreme Leader. Kylo Ren remained haunted by his father's death and his connection with the mysterious Rey. Kylo Ren also struggled with the inner good in himself. In time, with all the conflict that was within him, Ben Solo would return back to the light side. In the end, Ben Solo dies and became a Force ghost like his mother by sacrificing himself for Rey. Now, the last Skywalker known in the canon timeline is named Rey. As she took on the last name of Skywalker, she is now Rey Skywalker, continuing the legacy. But she is not related to the Skywalkers by blood. She's actually a Palpatine by blood. Rey was the daughter of a man named Dathan and Mjolnir. Rey's father was the clone son, artificial genetic strand cast of the resurrected Darth Sidious, making her the granddaughter of the Emperor. To protect Rey from her grandfather, her parents escaped into hiding, choosing to become ordinary junk traders to keep their daughter safe. Ultimately, Rey's parents sold her to Unkar Plutt for drinking money, but their intention was to keep her hidden from the Emperor's followers. Rey's parents never came back, and as time went on, she was alone for many years, until she befriended a former First Order trooper named Finn. Rey ended up joining the fight against the First Order, and she became a Jedi. She also fell in love with Kylo Ren. She was successful in turning Kylo Ren back into Ben Solo, and together they took down Rey's cloned grandfather. Rey became a hero and took on the last name Skywalker to honor the legacy of Skywalkers before her. Alright, so now let's move on to Legends, and in Legends, the Skywalkers' lives are almost similar, like the first 6 movies did happen in both canon and Legends. So the story of Anakin, Luke, and Leia in the first 6 movies is pretty much the same in the canon. Canon Legends are similar in that aspect, but there are certain differences, like the Clone Wars is in canon, the Clone Wars is not really in the Legends timeline, technically. But the major differences come from what happens in the timeline post Return of the Jedi. Luke in Legends rebuilt the Jedi Order successfully and became a great Jedi Master. Luke also went on to have a wife named Mara Jade and a son named Ben Skywalker. Luke went on to go on many battles against very dangerous enemies such as Thrawn and the Yuuzhan Vong. Unfortunately, Luke's wife died at the hands of his nephew Jacen Solo, who was known as Darth Cassius at the time. Luke felt the world had ended due to his wife's death. The weight of his grief would burden him even as the Jedi Order looked to him for leadership, and his son Ben almost came close to the dark side as well. However, Luke would eventually accept that his duty was to lead the Jedi, and he returned to the forefront of the Order, leading a series of missions against the Sith Lord Darth Cassius. Luke's death would come many years later, but we do not know how he died, but he does become a Force ghost later on. Leia in Legends became a senator and a representative for the New Republic. She was a key figure in many of the conflicts. Leia also had twins named Jacen and Jaina Solo. She helped fight off many conflicts in the galaxy, and then also, a little after that, she had another son named Anakin Solo. All of her children were trained to become Jedi. Leia herself also trained to become a Jedi later on in her life when she was in her 50s. Leia faced some hard times as she had to deal with the death of her son Anakin, and her other son Jacen fell to the dark side. She eventually got through it all and went on to do many great things in the galaxy. It is still unknown how Leia died in Legends. In Legends, Luke and his wife Mara Jade had a son named Ben Skywalker. Ben holds the rank of Jedi Knight. From an early age he showed skill, but as he grew up he was constantly thrusted into wars, mainly the Yuuzhan Vong War. Ben was trained by his cousin Jacen Solo until Jacen turned to the dark side, becoming the powerful Darth Cassius. Jacen tried to make Ben his Sith apprentice by employing Yuuzhan Vong technology to torture him and by placing him in prison. Ben did not turn though and escaped the prison. Also, Darth Cassius killed Ben's mother. Ben would go on to help his father on many adventures after the Yuuzhan Vong War, and he would eventually find love as well. It is believed Ben had children, and it is also unknown how Ben Skywalker died. Leia and Han's first son was named Jacen Solo. When Jacen was 14, he started his Jedi training. Jacen also trained his cousin Ben Skywalker. Jacen would fall to the dark side while seeking out more information about an unusual object. Jacen came across the Dark Lady of the Sith, and Jacen agreed to become a Sith to bring peace to the universe and prevent a dark future from happening. This promise led to the dark side, and he trained to gain more and more power to build a different world. He even killed his aunt Mara Jade Skywalker and almost took Ben Skywalker as his apprentice. In the end, he was unredeemable and his sister took him down. Jacen did end up having a daughter as well. Jaina Solo was the twin sister of Jacen Solo. When Jaina was 14, she too became a Jedi. Jaina fought in many wars and battles. Eventually, Jaina had to end up killing her brother Jacen Solo because he fell too far to the dark side. Later on, Jaina marries her longtime lover Jagged Fell, becomes a Jedi Master, and even ascends to the ranks of the Jedi High Council. Anakin Solo was the youngest of the Solo children, but the best Jedi of the three. Anakin was trained at the Jedi Academy until he became a Jedi Knight. He fought in the Yuuzhan Vong War and sacrificed himself to complete his mission on Myskir. His death was one of the reasons why his brother Jacen fell to the dark side. Anakin's sacrifice was pivotal and essential in winning the war for the Republic. After the war, he was named a war hero and was given a traditional Jedi cremation. Anakin Solo, in the end, ended up becoming a Force ghost. The legacy of the Skywalkers will live on for many years in both Legends and Canon, as the name Skywalker will be passed on to many generations, but it seems what the Skywalkers leave behind is pain and suffering, while also leaving behind hope and peace. The Skywalkers were the best heroes and worst villains to have ever lived. If there is one thing that follows the Skywalkers, it is tragedy. The Skywalkers seem to be stuck in this cycle of conflict with the light and dark side, but in the end, the light always prevails, but only until the dark side strikes again. The Skywalker story is not yet finished, but the first 4 generations of Skywalkers are the Skywalkers that will be historically remembered for many years to come for their highs and lows in the Star Wars galaxy. So to wrap up the video, may the Force be with you always.